All right, well, welcome to Teaching Well, the Teaching Well info session. It's a STEM teacher preparation residency program. So thankful for you guys to be joining us tonight, for your time, your engagement, your questions. And my name is Katie Wilson, and I am the Teaching Well program coordinator. And we have Dr. Mary Ellen Badio-Farrell, who is the Teaching Well program director. And I should have her name here. We have Josie Sherrill, one of our actually current students in the program. She's joined us this evening as well. So thank you so much for being with us, Josie. I'll say that a few times this evening. Mary Ellen, would you like to kick it off with an introduction and welcome?
Yeah, so just so you know, Katie is also the recruitment manager, so she didn't mention that, but that's just why she's here. And
Jill of all trades and SOE.
And also very familiar with a lot of programs at School Day. But yeah, I just want to welcome everyone and thank you for the time you're giving to this. We do this in an hour and we fill the hour with lots of talking, but we would like you to interrupt us if you have questions. Feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be watching the chat or just ask them as we're going through. This is a relatively new program. You would be the third cohort that we're recruiting. And it's a program that was specifically designed to address teacher shortages in Baltimore City, especially around STEM education. So it has a very, very specific mission, and anybody that decides to join the program makes a 4-year commitment to teach in Baltimore City for 4 years, which is, an admirable accomplishment. So we do everything we can to support you through that. I am the director of the program. I've been at Hopkins working in teacher preparation programs for the last 26 years. That seemed like just a few years, and have worked with, we've had probably about 5 different programs over the last 26 years, and I've had the opportunities to work with students in all of those programs. But this one is sort of my baby. It was the one I was asked to lead to develop it. So working with a lot of faculty from the School of Ed and staff, we took about 3 years to develop this program and tried to make it very responsive to what we understand to be the needs of teachers, people that want to be teachers. So that's why there's a strong emphasis on wellness and also on professionalism and on opportunities for you to be connected to other professionals in teaching and in other professions as well. So very excited to have Katie as our program coordinator and recruitment manager. Very honored to have Josie, who's a current student, to join us tonight. She can tell you all the truth about everything.
I know we're going to have, like, at various points through the session this evening, we'll have Josie share, the student perspective on the experience in the program. A quick intro.
Yeah, Josie.
Yeah. I am a current member of cohort 2, and I am at my internship placement over at Forest Park High School, and I do high school chemistry. Before this, I was in a PhD program, chemistry PhD program, and I decided to earn my master's degree in chemistry, and then I taught as a paraprofessional for a year in a middle school before joining this program.
Thank you so much, Josie. Thank you for being here and for sharing your perspective. And I always say this is thank you to everyone. This is prime real estate in the evening. If you are on the East Coast, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, dinner time, hangout time. So thank you. We want to try to, we always try to stick to the hour. We don't want to go over unless you want to hang out and ask questions, but we will try to get through all of this in an hour. Becoming a STEM teacher, introduction to Hopkins, to the School of Education, to Teaching Well, and then give an overview of Teaching Well, as well as some details like faculty and coursework, admissions details, and finance overview. So I'll kind of like move the slides along, and then Mary Ellen and Josie will jump in to share and kind of provide greater details. And then if you all have any questions at any point, please just like unmute yourself, ask away. You're also welcome to drop questions in the chat, which we could answer, as we go. Josie and Mary Ellen could be watching the chat, and or we can just grab them at the end and go through questions. So thank you again. Let's get started. So Mary Ellen just referenced some of this, but we always want to say up front, just to be really, clear about this program. It is a 5-year commitment. It's a licensure program. There's just so many details, so many layers to it. So as people are interested in the program and working on their application or considering an application, we want to put these 6 bullet points out front. So this program prepares aspiring educators to become middle and high school STEM teachers. So, it's grades 4 through 9 is middle, and grades 7 through 12 is high school, and specifically science and math, science STEM teachers, science, technology, engineering, math teachers. But we'll talk about the specific licensure tracks that this program trains you for. To be eligible for admissions, applicants must be U.S. citizens or U.S. permanent residents. An undergraduate major or minor in a STEM field, so biochem, computer science, or science physics, that's strongly preferred for applicants, and we'll get into that later. Why? Some experience working with kids is strongly preferred. Again, those 2 are strongly preferred. If you don't have a STEM undergrad major and you don't have specific experience with kids, that's actually, we'll say at the end, like, we'd love to have one-on-one calls with all of you. But definitely, if you're kind of inquiring, not sure, you're curious if this is the right fit for you, please set up a call with me and or Mary Ellen. But yeah, it's really strongly preferred. And then clarity about why you want to become a middle and high school STEM teacher. That's an opportunity in the essay to share that, and or if you were to do an interview with us, just kind of having that clarity within your own mind about your professional trajectory, and then able to articulate that in an essay and in an interview. And then just thinking about this is truly as a 5-year commitment. So there's a 16-month master's degree internship, then these 4 years of employment in Baltimore. So we'll get into that more. So just wanted to put that out there before we spend, you spend the next 50 minutes with us going through the program. So we're just starting with becoming a STEM teacher. And Josie can probably share, what her experience has been so far. She's had some experience as a teacher, as a paraprofessional, but just in the last, 10 months. But what does it mean to be a STEM teacher specializing in teaching science, technology, engineering, and math? This program specifically is science and math teaching licensure, but fostering critical thinking skills and problem-solving abilities in your students, creating an environment that encourages creativity, collaboration, and innovation among your students. So maybe, Josie, you could share a bit, just in your experience in the internship, just if any of these sort of jump out at you as like, oh yeah, that's really kind of, critical thinking, problem-solving, creativity or innovation. Are these some of the pieces that you've seen in your training so far as a STEM teacher?
Yeah, I've definitely seen creativity, innovation, collaboration, and critical thinking skills. I'm in the chemistry teacher I work with, he also teaches AP environmental science. We recently did a project with the students about um wind power, and like they made wind turbines in the classroom, and it was really cool to see like their different ideas of like how they're gonna get to spin, what they want to do. So that was really neat. So
That's great.
definitely throughout the whole year, like critical thinking and problem solving skills are very important.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And then why become a STEM teacher? We sort of think about it as both being a change agent, very much a part of the ethos of the School of Education, of the Teaching Well program, is training folks to become change agents in the education space, and then also professional and personal growth. So, as a teacher, and I don't think I said at the beginning, I was a classroom teacher for 13 years before I joined Hopkins 6 years ago, doing more teacher training and administration of programs. But becoming a teacher is you're actually stepping into a field with job stability. There's a great demand for teachers, as you guys probably know. There's ongoing salary increases. If you look state by state, district by district, city by city, you can usually find this as public information, sort of see, well, where could my salary go as a teacher? It's an opportunity to cultivate your STEM expertise and passion. As you heard, Josie, for example, is a chemist, and now she has an opportunity to share that passion. And one goal of ours with the program is that you really sort of, as being a Hopkins student and having a connection to this university that is, an R1 research science university, that, hopefully, potentially there is also an opportunity to sort of cultivate your expertise within the Hopkins huge, university and across campuses. So intellectual challenge, creativity, and continuous learning, and the joy and fun of mentoring and guiding young people. So hopefully you all love working with kids. You love working with students. And so just really being in that space of like having fun and being, being joyful with kids all day, every day. And then change agent, directly inspiring future innovators, addressing the need for a STEM professional pipeline in the US. And then a social justice leader, you're addressing educational inequities. In the act of becoming a teacher, and particularly a teacher in Baltimore. So a couple of introductions just to Hopkins, just to give you like zoom out, big picture. Hopkins is the first research university in the US from the 1800s. Historic discoveries, both past and present. There's actually 24,000 full-time and part-time students, and there's 10 academic divisions, like the School of Engineering, the School of Medicine, Public Health, and School of Education is one of them. So you're really, you would be joining this like massive historic institution. So education was founded in 1909. Currently, there are 9 master's degrees, 2 doctoral degrees, and a postmaster's certificate. You can see sort of the SOE vision of creating and translating knowledge for impact, addressing social determinants of education, advancing equity, supporting diverse learners. So you would become a part of this mission. And then introducing Teaching Well, and this is directly from the website. If you guys have ever seen it, I'll pass this to Mary Ellen to give a little bit more of the kind of like, I guess the founding of Teaching Well. But it's still relatively new. We're recruiting currently for cohort 3. It's a new groundbreaking teacher prep program in Baltimore. Full tuition support provides participants with evidence-based training while placed in partnership schools in Baltimore City. Followed by 4 years of strategic support for career development and long-term success in the teaching profession. So we're going to get into, that's kind of like tagline, one big old sentence to explain what Teaching Well is. We'll get into the different parts and components of Teaching Well, but I know, Mary Ellen, maybe is there something that's kind of left out of this explanation, or something that you'd want to share about the history of the program, or the partnership with Baltimore City?
I think one of the pieces is the long-term success that we would like you to feel that we are supporting you, not only in your the pedagogical work that you do in your classrooms, but also the passion or interest you have in your own subject area. So just this week, we had a faculty member from the School of Arts and Sciences in chemistry invite all the students in the program to join her in a 5-week class that she delivers to the undergrads at Hopkins on the chemistry of cosmetics. So our students are, if they're interested in doing that, she's invited them to teach alongside her, or to assist with the labs, or to observe. So different, depending on what your interest and time commitment is available to you, that's the kind of experience that we really want you to be able to continue to have, so that you can not only grow in your pedagogical skills, but also in your what you feel and care about in your content area. So I know that's one of the parts of the program that Katie really likes. So touching on that for right now.
And we can really, continue to kind of build that out. All right, so then why Teaching Well? So we have a partnership with Baltimore City Public Schools. So this is the piece, maybe Mary Ellen, you could also talk about, like, why this partnership, like why is it so important in the context of Baltimore to create a STEM teacher pipeline?
Yeah, so as many of you probably have, when you're looking at teacher prep programs, you probably see that some of them are completely online. Some of them you can get internship experiences anywhere in the country. But when we built this program, we made the decision that we were going to serve Baltimore. Hopkins has a long history of being, a strong community member, important in the city of Baltimore. So we decided to do in-person, only to work with Baltimore City, and only work with one of the highest needs that they had, which was STEM educators. So that's what our focus is. It makes the program sort of more focused. And as we grow the program, the resources continue to grow because of the many resources that exist at Hopkins alone. So that's sort of a little bit of the history of how the program got developed. And Baltimore City, the school system financially supports this program. So Katie will get to that, but you don't have to pay any tuition. And for, a large part of that is covered by Baltimore City. And then they work really closely with Katie and me to make sure that we're making sure you're getting good experiences in your internship and also being supported once you're in the classroom as a hired teacher. So it's important to us, and it's also important to our partner, which is Baltimore City Schools.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll call on Josie again here. So life as a teaching well student. So the cohort, this is a cohort model. Currently, we're recruiting up to 12 students to join cohort 3. So the idea of the cohort model, that there's a collective experience, there's support, there's a network. We have cohort 1 and cohort 2 now, and we're recruiting for cohort 3. So we will then have, many teaching well students and sort of like crossover from one cohort to the next. So you can see a couple of examples. I think Josie's there with that big old beautiful smile, and they're at a happy hour. And then so that was kind of like a fun hangout social event in the fall. And then in the middle, you can see 3 of our cohort 1 teachers at one of their internship schools. And then cohort 1 went to like a baseball game in the summer, sort of cohort bonding when they first all met in their first summer. So maybe Josie, can you give us a snapshot of this cohort model, like kind of what that's like for you?
Yeah, we're all very close. We have a group chat, like even though we're all varying age ranges, we have a group chat and we all like message each other about whatever is going on, classes, like internship, whatever we need to talk about. Um, we plan events and like we work together to plan like events or like just hanging out. And then just like finding friends within, the cohort to like study with, just sending like a quick message of like, hey, I'm studying here, like anyone else want to study? Um, and it's been great. We all have except for in the fall, the science and the math people split up, so we get different classes. But besides that, we all have the same classes, and every semester we have at least one class all together. So it's a lot of bonding time to hang out with the whole cohort, both before and after class. And then, um, you start to get used to people that you're taking classes with every semester. So it's been a lot of fun. And I actually
That's
live
so
with
great.
2 of my cohort members. So
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And we're going to talk about kind of like life in Baltimore and what it's like to move to Baltimore for some people who join us. So definitely would love to hear more about that. But that's so important. Being a teacher should be fun. It's very hard. It's very challenging, but there should be like a big part of it that should be fun. And so definitely this cohort model, I think, is what helps it be even more of a fun experience. So I'm so glad to hear that. So life as a teaching well student, the SOE building. So for all of us who've worked for Hopkins for a while, or Josie's been a student with us. This big news is that in January, we're over the holidays, some renovations of the School of Education building were completed, and so this historic, like old historic building has been modernized, classrooms redesigned, renovated spaces. So very, very beautiful space, which before people were more like dispersed on different campuses and having to travel around. So now all School of Education students, master's, PhD, postmasters, are centralized in this one space. So it's really, really wonderful. And it's just, Josie, do you kind of feel the difference between fall semester and now, like what has that been like?
yeah, it's been really nice to be in the new building. There's a lot of study spaces there. There's a microwave, like we have class in the morning and then like a lunch break and then class in the afternoon, and there's like microwaves inside the building that we can go use. So it's nice to be able to just stay in the building and heat up food and hang out. And it is a beautiful building. Like they kept a
Yeah,
lot of the old stained glass windows.
nice. Yeah, great.
Isn't there? And there's free coffee.
Oh, nice.
But
And
there's
free
not
coffee at this.
but
What's
there's
that?
not tea. There's not any tea,
Oh,
which is unfortunate.
yeah.
We're working on the tea, but there is free coffee, which is
Yes, but that doesn't matter to me as a
Yeah, you're
non.
not a coffee. That's amazing. Like people who are not coffee drinkers, it's just like blows my mind. You can function. That's amazing. So just in terms of some other spaces, we have the Imagine Center is another space that has free coffee, and I think there's tea and hot chocolate too for non-coffee drinkers. But just another beautiful community space. It's the site of the Life Design and Career Center. career services offices. So we do our, initial orientation there. We have a couple of events there. It's just a wonderful space. There's this passion to profession event that you will end up spending a good amount of time. Again, kind of like a relatively new, beautiful space for events and hanging out and studying. And then the Bloomberg Student Center is brand new. Josie, have you spent much time there yet?
I've gone there occasionally. It is very beautiful. I'm the type to like working in a coffee shop, so I tend to go to coffee shops over the student
Yeah.
center, but the student center does have plenty of room and it does have food inside of it as well.
Yeah. And then there's like performances and events and student resources and support services. So it's a nice, like centralized space in that sense as well. So if you guys join us, basically you're joining us at a very good time in terms of buildings and spaces. And so yeah, that's something to look forward to. So life as a teaching well student and living in Baltimore. And again, Josie, you can speak to this, but just a vibrant, diverse, innovative city. Cost of living is more affordable than most cities. I don't know where everyone's calling in from, but I know when I became a teacher right out of college, I lived in New York City, which is not a terrible cost of living. Yes, on a teacher salary, Baltimore does, actually has a higher starting salary than like national average for teachers and a lower cost of living. So I think it's a nice sweet spot. Proximity, it's full of young professionals, universities, Hopkins as well as other universities, proximity to DC, Philly, New York City, robust arts, culinary, and culture scene. So what has it been like for you? Josie, again, you moved from the West Coast, right, to Baltimore, but you're kind of from the area?
Yeah, so I grew up
It's
outside of
totally new.
Baltimore, like 40
Yeah,
minutes outside Baltimore.
yeah,
And then I did grad school at University of Utah, so I was living out in Utah. So I moved back to Baltimore from Utah. So it definitely, I mean, definitely a city, lots of food and like other like activities to do around the area, plenty of stuff to walk to um, in different areas and also like drive you're able to drive around. I've really enjoyed living here, even though I grew up 40 minutes outside of Baltimore. I feel like I have never spent as much time here as I have now that I'm living here, and I love all the little fun spots and bookstores and coffee shops, etc., that I've
yeah.
found. And
That's so great. Kind of
yeah,
rediscovering it.
yeah,
That's so
it's a
cool.
lot of fun. It's really nice.
That's so great. That's so great.
Any questions about Baltimore?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, if anything comes to mind, we'll save it for then. Yeah, good point. Yeah, if any questions do come up, please go for it. But teaching in Baltimore, competitive salary, as I referenced, with benefits, supportive colleagues, ability to make an impact, increased base salary for teachers with master's degrees. So that's a nice bump in as a result of completing the Teaching Well program. Teacher career ladder, opportunities for career growth, for salary increases. And then Baltimore City Public School System needs powerful educators and is open to innovation and opportunity to grow professionally. And I know, Josie, you are now in the process. We'll get to like the employment section of the session. But just that, is this in terms of kind of what you've experienced being in the Baltimore City Public School System as an intern and what you're in looking ahead for August? Is there anything that you would say is like kind of notable about teaching in Baltimore? Anything here that maybe jumps out at you about like ability to make an impact or the need for powerful educators?
Um, yes, definitely a need for powerful educators. There are a lot of open positions in middle school science and math right now, and even some open positions in high school math, uh, and some in science. And then yeah, the competitive salaries. I've heard some of the teachers talk about like former salaries at other states and like not nearly as high as the starting salaries here. Um, and like my mentor just got the national board certifications. That's
Well,
after like 4 years, 4 or 5. I think he applied his fourth year, so it's his fifth year. So the national board certification is like an additional $10,000 per year. And then if you're working at a um school that is Title I in Baltimore City, you get an additional like $7,000 so
Yeah.
per year. So it's a lot of getting that national board certification once you can be really helpful in Baltimore City.
Yeah.
And
That's
that is
awesome.
part of the
Right.
plan of the program. Is as part of that, there's support years. That would be, if you want to do that, then there will be support to help you with that.
Yeah.
That's great that you know the exact amount.
I know. Yeah. And maybe
It's
it
a lot.
like
My
increase
mentor was
maybe
very
and
happy.
It's
yeah.
$17,000 more.
That's
It's
a lot of
amazing.
money, especially. I mean, that's the also with the starting salary being a bit higher, and then you even a bump with the masters. Then your starting point with that 17,000 on top. I say, like, within 5 years, you could be making closer to, like, I don't know, $90,000 or something. Um, so okay, we'll kind of pivot. So definitely wanted to start out just giving you guys, like, the first half is like Hopkins and School of Education and teaching well, giving more of like the student perspective, what it's like to be in the program in Baltimore and Baltimore City Public Schools. Now I want to break down just like program components. So we referenced there's a master's degree, there's an internship, there's a praxis exam. If you guys are familiar with that, some of you that might be brand new, so we wanted to talk about what that is. There's a licensure pathway, becoming licensed. EdTPA is an assessment, it's a requirement for graduation, and in Maryland to become licensed. When we talk about employment and whole teacher support, so we want to break down each of these components. As we said at the beginning, this is like it's a 5-year program, it's layered, nuanced. We want to make sure that you all are receiving as much detail about the program as you can this evening. So it's a master's degree, MED. It's 39 credits. It's full time. It's in person and online. So each semester there's a one online class, and well, in the summers it's one online class and two in-person classes, and then in the fall and the spring semesters it's one online class and 3 in person. But I'll show you a breakdown of that. So summer is 9 credits, fall is 10 credits, spring is 11 credits, and summer 2 is 9 credits. So rigorous evidence-based coursework from expert faculty, and then full support for tuition and fees. And we'll get a little more detailed about what that means. But the master's, the 39 credits, there's full support for that tuition. The internship, it's September. It's really August through May. I should switch that. You really get started in August. So if you join us for this summer, you start with your summer courses, and then you start that internship really in August. So that's at a partnership school site. It's 3.5 days per week in partner school with assigned mentor teacher. And there's consistent ongoing coaching and mentoring and support from that mentor teacher at your assigned school, from Hopkins faculty, various faculty, including program director, Mary Ellen, as well as your actual, the faculty of your courses. And then we'll talk about Edifying Teachers, and it's an external organization. It's a sort of teacher coaching organization where you're assigned a coach. So you have many layers of support in your internship experience. Josie, would you mind sharing with us, I mean, the 3.5 days, that's not really exact. Maybe can you give us kind of like, what does your week look like in terms of the internship and coursework? And then just a snapshot of what your experience has been real quick, what your experience has been like so far.
My experience has been fantastic. I was placed in, as I already said, a high school chemistry um area position. So we were Tuesday, we go to the high school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and we go to classes on Wednesdays. This semester, last semester, we went to school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, classes Wednesday, and then we also had classes Tuesday night. But we only had 2 classes on Wednesday last semester. So Wednesday is all day classes. There's a couple of breaks broken in there, but it's like a full day of classes, and then 4 full days at your internship for the rest of the
Is it
week.
correct? The math folks actually have a Monday or Tuesday evening class?
The math
Yeah,
folks
yeah.
do have a
So that's
Monday
yeah,
class this
Monday class. So that's
semester.
why that 3.5 is just that
Yeah.
sometimes if you do have it there could be a possibility that there's like another day other than that core class day where you have to like leave school a
hmm
little bit early to make it to an evening class. Just wanted to clarify why it says 3.5 days. Because
Yeah.
sometimes
So
people have to leave early.
Yeah. So I think the class times are generally 4:30 start. And so some schools definitely do need to leave early. My school gets out at 2:20 p.m. So most days,
Oh,
honestly, I'm
you,
home
yeah,
by 3.
yeah,
Um, but we also start at 7:30 a.m. So there's a
right,
balance. My roommates
right.
are have not left yet when I leave, but I
Oh
typically
my
get home
gosh.
before them.
Yeah. Wow.
I
Okay,
think I
great.
think you can sort of, know that it's generally like 8 to 4-ish
8 to 3.
in
Yeah.
buildings. But
Yeah.
yeah, Josie, you have a early morning, but
That's
you
super
get out
early.
early,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay, and then praxis exam. It's again for some people maybe don't have point of reference for praxis exams, so just is a series of assessments that teacher candidates must pass to become licensed. It's administered by ETS, the big testing company. And teaching while students choose a specific level, middle or secondary. And middle is 4 through 9, secondary is 7 through 12, and specific content to prepare for and pass on their pathway to licensure. So some people join us and they've already taken it and passed it. Some people want to knock it out in the summer and take it and pass it. And some people wait until the fall. And some people just do it totally independently. And some people need support. So that's something we figure out kind of like right from the beginning is what are your plans, middle or secondary, and what content area. And then we kind of like help you figure out which exam, when to take it, and how much support you might need. Here are the licensure tracks. So keeping in mind what your background is and kind of what your goals are. Are you interested in secondary, which is grade 7 through 12? So it's more like secondary, you might think high school, but that does reach back all the way to seventh grade. So you could do seventh and eighth grade, or middle is grades 4 through 9. So, but if you're going to choose secondary, grade 7 through 12, that's math, you're just choosing math for the praxis, or are you doing secondary grade 7 through 12 chemistry, biology, environmental science, or physics? And then if you're choosing middle school, which is the younger guys, but it does stretch into freshmen to ninth grade. So one, you do have one step into the high school level, and there's either middle school science or middle school math. So maybe Mary Ellen, could you maybe provide the context of like that this program, these are the specific licensure tracks for this program, and then with the idea that down the line people could tag on or tack on another um, licensure on top of this.
Yeah, and I think Jody mentioned this too. In general, there are more positions open at the middle school level each year.
Yeah.
There are high school positions, but I would say there are more middle. And I think that if that might be a hard decision for you, and if you need to talk with us about that, as you're thinking about which track you want to pick, we're happy to talk that through with you. And then I guess the other piece of this is if whatever you do decide, that's what you get prepared to teach. So during your internship, we do our best to have a mentor teacher that is teaching the classes based on what your license is. And then if you decide that your biology and you want to do high school, you for the first 2 years of your residency licensure, you have to teach biology. So it's not like you can go and teach a different subject. Once you are past your residency years, you can take a test, and basically it's a praxis test again in another subject area. So if you say, well, I'd also like to teach chemistry, you can take a praxis exam. If you pass it, you are then qualified to teach chemistry. And that would be after your 2 years of residency. Baltimore City uses the term endorsement. So you get licensed in one area. And if you want to add on other areas, you get endorsements. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's really essentially just you taking a praxis exam, passing it, and you get that endorsement. So you don't have to go back to grad school again. You don't have to take classes. You just have to take the tests. But you can't actually teach in the endorsement area until you're finished your residency years. So just a point of
And we'll
clarification.
show the timeline on one of these next slides. And but yeah, I think that's a really important point because people come in with, either various interests, or maybe they come in with, we have people who are computer science major and then they teach math, but then they eventually want to do computer science. Or maybe I was thinking Josie, like you're like, oh wow, your teacher is teaching AP environmental science, but is a chem, teacher. Is That's probably what your mentor teacher did, is like started in one subject and then tacked on an endorsement.
Yeah.
So that's
The other,
something
the other,
else you could do eventually.
the other thing, there are very few standalone middle schools in Baltimore City. Almost all the middle schools are elementary middle. So that's why we have an intern right now who's doing middle school math, and he's in a fourth grade class. So the range is broad, and those are grade bands that are set by the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
It's different in different states, but that's what it is in Maryland.
EdTPA is it's an assessment. So whereas Praxis is a content test to ensure that you're able to pass at middle school math level or secondary chem level, EdTPA is something that you would complete while you're in the program with us. It's a teacher performance assessment. And it's really a portfolio of materials. It's like lesson plans and video clips, and then you're writing about your process. So it's really like a pedagogical assessment. So it's not necessarily content specific. And it's required for graduation from our program, from the Teaching Well program, and it's required in the state of Maryland for licensure. But that's new. So you guys are lucky. It wasn't, last year, a couple years ago, it was not required in Maryland. Now it is. So it's just this, another hoop to jump through. But don't have to, really worry about it too much now because that's in your horizon, but just wanted to make sure to mention that that is one of the hoops, one of the checks for graduation, one of the checks for licensure in Maryland.
And we provide support. And we support that's part of
yes.
the program.
Yeah.
There's support for that to work on that.
Definitely.
Assessment.
There's a course, and we have some external coaches and experts who really support our students through that. Employment, this is the phase that Josie's on kind of the precipice of this next chapter of the program, but employment in Baltimore City Public Schools after successful completion of the master's coursework, passing Praxis, and your internship hours. And it's really a commitment to teach for 4 years in Baltimore City Public Schools. Mary Ellen referenced this before, but Baltimore City actually has invests a lot of, a sizable chunk of funding into the Teaching Well program and for our Teaching Well teachers. So then that's sort of like the reciprocity, the commitment there is to 4 years. So I said years 2 through 5 there. So year 1 is really right now what Josie's in, is the internship, is the coursework, is kind of the training. And then 4 years after that first year is years 2 through 5 of the Teaching Well program. We'll show you a timeline. The application and interview process begins spring of year 1 of the Teaching Well program. Even like actually drag that back. We started doing workshops and trainings and thinking about it and starting accounts to start applications back in December. And then there's support through the application and interview process, both from the Teaching Well team, from our career life design and career services office. They do amazing work with our students, and then also from the Baltimore City Public Schools Human Capital Office, like their HR office. So, Josie, where are you in that process? What has it been like for you in getting your application started and thinking about the next chapter?
It's been good, yeah. We had a very interesting meeting with somebody from HR back in the fall. I guess not interesting, informative meeting from someone from HR back in like December. So I was able to work on my application over like winter break January, and then got it in by the end of January. Had schools reaching out to me in February to schedule interviews, and now it's like really picked up in March. I have 2 interviews next week. I had an interview this week and an
That's
interview
so exciting.
last week, all at middle schools. So, and there's also like some social hours to like meet and greet with the different principals to like get yourself out there. So it's been good. Yeah. I'm looking
Great.
forward to finding my placement and like
Yeah.
getting a school.
And are you
Finding
applying at
figuring out
all
where to
for a high school chemistry?
I have not found any high school. So the way Baltimore City works is there's a pool that you put your name in, so you can't actually see which schools have openings, but you can
Mhm.
reach out to those schools. I haven't heard from any school that there's an open chemistry position. However, I have been reaching out to high schools asking if they have open chemistry positions to keep me in mind. And I have been leveraging my network and connecting with principals from my school and my cohort members' schools to see if they know of anyone with chemistry positions. But I'm
Right.
also happy I did a year in middle school to work in a middle school as a middle school science teacher.
Okay, because you have that seventh and eighth grade. You
Yes,
can do
because
seventh and
that
eighth grade for your
secondary
teaching.
license goes into seventh and eighth grade, I can still do that because it's within
That's
the
great.
grade band.
That's so great. That's great. Well, we're rooting for you, and I want all the updates on those interviews. It's so exciting. Whole teacher support model, we referenced that, I think, already, and you'd hear it again multiple times if you joined us. But really, the way this is, we kind of think about it and it's structured is that we have coaches, mentors, and advisors who are providing ongoing support from, the kind of this point in the game is, sort of buoying you and supporting you through the application journey. Once you're admitted, joining us, supporting you through the whole onboarding process and through through years 5 and beyond. But so we have classroom mentors, so obviously your Baltimore City Public School master teacher that you're partnered with, teaching coaches, edifying teachers, and it's an external organization led by one of a Hopkins graduate from the doctorate program. Rudy Ruiz is the founder director of the Edifying Teachers organization. So you will be partnered with a coach who's specifically working with you through years 1 and year 2. So both the internship phase and year 1 of actually being a teacher of record in Baltimore. We have School of Education, Career and Life Design educators who work closely with our program. You have 2 advisors. One's a faculty advisor, so actually a faculty of the Teaching Well program, and then also an academic advisor for School of Education Student Matters. There's an advising team for all School of Education students. And then STEM teaching experts for experiential learning and professional development. And then workshops, trainings, opportunities. There's wellness workshops. There's financial planning support and training. There's tons of academic events at Hopkins, tons of social opportunities through Hopkins, professional networking opportunities, and then professional development through Baltimore City Public Schools, that as an intern, you can have access to the PDs, the professional developments that are offered to their teachers. Mary Ellen, maybe would you mind kind of elaborating on the STEM teaching experts, the experiential learning and professional development piece? Because I think that's a really core piece of the whole teacher support model.
Yeah, and Josie might want to jump in too. So we have 2 faculty members. One is a math and one is science expertise. And this again connects to the sort of the focus on making sure you're continuing to learn your content and be excited about your content. There are, I would say, field trips basically that are days away from your placement school where you go and have experiences in other locations. So one of the days, all the students went with the math educator and the math and science educator to the National Aquarium in Baltimore. And another experience was at Applied Physics Lab, which is a Hopkins institution. And then the third experience was a reporter from the local Baltimore paper who was a investigative reporter who came and shared her work on, some of the stories that she worked on, and she was an award-winning writer, which had to do with sort of expertise in research. So the one that's planned for spring is going to the Baltimore City Forensics Lab. So again, it's meant to give you opportunities to think about other ways of presenting content, engaging students. That's not what you see in your classroom every day in your placement. So it's so, the feedback we've gotten from students has been positive. We also all went to see a movie, which you might want to check out, called Counted Out, It was on campus, and it's a movie about math education, the importance of math, and how students are sort of uh, not really allowed to have opportunities to go in and learn higher level math. So again, it's always looking for opportunities to learn more about content in your field and sort of keep you excited about your field. And Josie, if you want to jump in on that, feel free. And then there are always debriefing time after we take the trips. There's time spent debriefing about the experience and how we can apply it into our classrooms. Josie, feel free to jump in and if I've left something out or if there was some memory you
Yeah,
have.
or I was going to ask Josie, do you feel like, because I feel like just we're inundated with emails of so much stuff going on campus, talks and lectures and events and wellness week and this and that. Do you feel
There's a
that
lot
you
going
have,
on.
there's so much, which is amazing. That's great. Like you want to like immerse yourself, but with the internship, with the coursework, with like just like your life, do you feel that are you able to take advantage of the opportunities that are, all of those opportunities that are presented to you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could take more advantage of some of the
Right, always,
opportunities,
right?
but the ones that are presented to us, the experiential learning, they count as an internship day, so we can choose to go to both if like time-wise it allows, or we could
Yeah.
just go to the experiential learning. So it helps build in some like dedicated time for this other activity.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I feel like Mary Ellen, you did a great job explaining everything. I don't really have too much else to add.
Yeah.
They were good trips. The aquarium was a
Mhm.
lot of fun,
Yeah.
as always.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And Josie mentioned, we basically, the goal is to have at least 100 days in your classrooms over the course of the 2 semesters. And it isn't hard to get to 100 days, but as long as you're doing some kind of educational experience, that can count toward the 100 days.
Yeah.
Most teacher prep programs, teachers do like 1 semester of internship. So we are really committed to making sure that you almost feel like you've been in the school for most of the year and seen the beginning of the year and some of the testing experiences and people coming back after vacations and people getting really tired before vacations and then do full-time teaching for about 10 at least 10 days in the second semester so you know what it feels like to have the day after day responsibilities of everything that a teacher's doing before you finish out your internship. A little bit off topic, sorry.
No, it's great, great detail. All right, so program timeline, and I am noticing we're close to time, so I want to kind of pop through the next slides and make sure there's some time for Q&A. But just so you can have a visual, and also just to let you all know, I will send a PDF of the slides, and this you can also find a recording of info session on the landing page. So if you need to hear this all over again, you can watch it. You can read the slides and/or definitely set up a call with us. But just thinking about like how does the next 5 years look? Year one, coursework, internship, praxis, securing employment. And then year two, you're a teacher of record. So that's your first year as a Baltimore City employee. The RTL, the residency teacher license, which has been referenced a couple of times. You have that in years 2 and 3. And then the initial professional license, years 4 and 5. And then there's support for achievement of national board certification in year 5. So teaching well faculty and coursework, you can see our lovely faculty. This is some of our faculty who teach our courses. And then Dr. Stacy Mitchell is this amazing career and life design counselor who has helped our students through, the application process, interview process, the life design process, thinking about mapping out this next chapter of your life and entering the field as a teacher. Curriculum structure, you can see the summer, fall, spring, summer courses. So 9 credits this summer. If you were to join us this summer, there's 1 course that's online. The summer is broken into kind of like 2 chapters. May through July is 1 online asynchronous course. And then July through August is 2 in-person courses. So in thinking about if you were to join us, in-person starts in July. So that's soon. And then in the fall and the spring, there's 4 courses each of those semesters, one of which each semester is online asynchronous, and then summer 2 2 in-person, 1 online asynchronous. So lots of coursework, 39 credits, but we try to, make sure that it's doable for people who are, basically like almost full-time interns. Teaching role admissions details. So all of this you can find in the application and or on our website. So I won't necessarily like read through every detail, but just important to make sure that some of you have maybe already applied or you're in the application process or maybe you're thinking about it, but just to make sure that you kind of go through this checklist similar to that first slide of the whole session this evening. Just make sure that this is a match with your background and your goals and your experiences. There is a pre-admissions transcript evaluation. Again, that's on the website, just as an opportunity for you to share before you even start the process of creating an application and applying, is that you submit your transcript to the review team so they can kind of check your background and the courses you've taken and your major and all of that. So please go ahead and find that on the website if you haven't already. The application is general information, official transcripts from all previous institutions, resume, essay, and 2 letters of rec. So those official transcripts and the 2 letters of rec, those are the pieces that, are kind of outside of your control a little bit. So I would say start there, get those out, get those, if you're starting this application, like get the letters of rec, that information in the system, and it will send it to your recommenders and then request those official transcripts. You can see there's a 3-part essay, really spend some good time, brainstorming and answering that question. So the review team really gets to know you as a person and as an aspiring teacher. Application details. The deadline has said April 1st on the website. We've actually extended the deadline to April 30th. Early May is a final notification of decisions. Just know it's rolling review of applications. The sooner the better. And then the process is you submit your application, then you would be asked for an interview, then there's an offer or deny letter, and then there's 2 weeks to accept the offer. So essentially it's a quick timeline, quick turnaround. So we want to make sure that you all are informed of kind of that process and that it is rolling review. So just know that the sooner you get it in, the sooner you'll hear. Timeline spring and summer 2026. Some dates are subject to change. You can see that just, it's a pretty packed schedule. If you hear from us, let's say beginning of May, middle of May, that you're in the program, then virtual orientation starts right there towards the end of May, and coursework starts at the end of May. So it is, you hit the ground running with us, but you don't actually have to be in person until July. That's why we wanted to really share this. Financing the Teaching Well program. And I have a couple minutes, so I will just fly through this as fast as I can. But financing, how does financing work for Teaching Well? So tuition risk support has been referenced a couple of times. So that's for the master's degree coursework. That includes some fees and health insurance. Living expenses. So how do people finance their life while they're in the Teaching Well program? So a variety of ways. There's 2 stipends. There's grants and scholarships you can apply for. There's loans, FAFSA, of course, and then personal savings. So people have done kind of like, depending on their individual situation, they've used kind of like a patchwork across these 4. To give you a view of the total cost of the master's, this year it's $11.40 per credit. This academic year is times 39 is about $44,000. Cost to students 0, and you can see that there's some fees, some fees that creep up on you, or it can be, and applications are offered $100 each semester. It's $125 per semester to register. Waived. So we really want to remove that financial barrier to, becoming a teacher. And their students are responsible to pay for their praxis exams. So this is something we can talk further about. Any of this we could talk further about. 2 stipends. One is a Teaching Well stipend, $10,000 for each student who joins us. That's dispersed as part of payroll. That's August through June. There's also something called a NOIS stipend. The NOIS program is a national program that's in supporting people becoming STEM teachers, and specifically people who have STEM undergraduate degrees. So when we talked about having a preference for a STEM undergrad degree, that's not only because we're training people to become STEM teachers, but also because there's actually access to more funding if you have a STEM undergrad degree. So the Teaching Well stipend is $10K, NOIS stipend is $10K, and that's dispersed from August, from the first summer you join us, through June of the next year. So just thinking about how would I fund my life? How would I finance my life if I were to join this program that's pretty much totally full-time, right? Like coursework, internship, that's going to consume your life. So Some people can have a like kind of a side hustle, but for the most part, this living stipends and loans and patching together grants and scholarships, that's how most people have been able to support themselves during this program. So the Noyce Scholarship, I'll be sharing some more information when I do a follow-up email, links to Noyce, but it is a national program to support people in becoming people with STEM training, STEM undergrad majors to become STEM teachers. Two grants and scholarships I want to mention. Teach Grant, Teaching Fellows for Maryland Scholarship. Absolutely. If you're interested in learning more about these, go ahead and look them up. I'll also send an email with links to these grants, but please set up an appointment with our financial aid experts. And you can find it in the financial aid website, or I will send you some information there, but they can break this down for you, explain it to you. There's applications. Please, 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 set up an appointment or set up an appointment with me and I can connect you with them. But that's where you can find out more information about these two particular. One is a federal grant and one is a state scholarship. Loans. Some Teaching Well students take out federal loans to supplement the stipends, grants, and scholarships. And Summer 1 and Summer 2 is a time when often students do need loans. So again, understanding kind of like the financial landscape of being a student in our program, please, number one, complete FAFSA, even if you're not even sure, like you're going to take out loans or do the scholarships or grants, but just complete it. It's actually quite fast and easy compared to back in the day when it was like paper and pen. And then that's, if you do decide to, apply for a grant or a scholarship, then that FAFSA application is already in. And that's what they use, the financial aid offices use for like metrics and figuring out what you qualify for. So that's it. Follow us. I'm just 2 minutes over time. Follow us on social media. And thank you guys so very much for your time and your engagement. And I want to just say a massive thank you to Josie for spending the last hour plus with us and sharing. You just really brought the program to life and I learned a lot through what you shared, and I'm sure others did as well. So let's open it to questions.
Thanks, Josie.